This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. We got 4 games here on a Thursday. Plenty of shortage of star players on this slate due to them all being ruled out. Sir Grande, you're on the playbook here today. How are we feeling about everything today?
It's definitely interesting. That's all I got.
All right, guys, it's been a great show.
it's a 4-game slate, and it's just there's a lot of different directions. Your mind takes you when LeBron and Anthony Davis are ruled out, and the Knicks are shorthanded against the Pacers, who play up in pace, and we don't know the official status of Tyrese Maxey in a great spot against Philly without Joel Embiid. So there's a ton of different directions for such a small slate that I just have like, man, I really, you have to take a stance on whether you think the Lakers can keep it competitive. We've seen this in Boston earlier in the year when Philly ruled everyone out, and then Patrick Beverley scored 77 points to keep that game competitive, and there was like 270 points scored in that game. The Knicks have been awesome. They're all priced up compared to what they've been. If there's no OG again, there might even be no Quentin Grimes. Like, they could be even more shorthanded than they were the other day. And then again, that Philly-Utah game, super appealing. Cleveland, Memphis, Memphis doesn't have anyone active, maybe even worse with Santi Aldama hitting the injury report in the middle of the day today. So it's a very, very interesting 4-game slate. I'm ready to get.
Did we get an official OG status, or DraftKings just laid on the rub there? We still haven't listed as questionable on DraftKings. So
yeah, I didn't say he was out.
Oh, okay. I thought you said OG was out. My bad.
No, he's questionable.
Guys, happy to have you all in the chat. I know yesterday we had some technical difficulties that prevented us from going live. Sorry about that. Hopefully you did get in the Fantasy Alarm Discord there, so you got all the updates needed, because Wednesday slate was kind of crazy as it was. Love the coach. Chris is already in the chat. Happy to have you back, my good sir. If you haven't already liked today's show, do that as well. Comment. We're happy to answer any of your questions that you throw into the chat. We'll pop them on screen. We'll address them. We'll go position by position. We'll do a lineup at the end of the day. If you have any betting questions, we'll cover those for you as well, because it is just 4 games. So we'll go through the games a little bit quicker than usual. Let's pull up the slate, though, over on DraftKings and talk about the matchups that we do have. Los Angeles Lakers versus the Boston Celtics. That game is now Boston minus 15 as a home favorite here, but the total only down 1.5 or 2 points rather. So go figure that one. The point spread goes up 5. The total only drops a point down to 238.5 there. Pacers, Knicks. Knicks are 3-point home favorites. That's got a 236 total there. Cleveland, Memphis getting 8. That's a 215 total against the Cavaliers. Philadelphia 76ers versus the Utah Jazz. Utah giving 4.5. So 238.5 game total there. Those are the 4 games on the slate here tonight, James.
Yes, they are.
You got a thought on the Celtics Lakers game here? The spread goes up 5, total stays the same.
Well, I don't know how. I mean, that's because I'm assuming. Boston's going to score 150 points. So, it's yeah. The Lakers just aren't going to be able to defend Boston tonight. It's really if Boston gets up for this game and is like, oh, no LeBron, no AD, we can coast. I do think that's what happened in that random Philly game where Boston had no business playing into overtime against a Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey-less team. I'm trying to find, I forget, it was the December 1st, 125-119 home win where, again, they won by 6 and should have won by 600. My opinion is that if they, don't come into this game or have a similar mindset, then it's going to be competitive. And if they are the Boston team of, that we've seen all year, then it's going to be a 30-point win. So
sure.
There's a very wide range of outcomes here. I just think Vegas can't drop that total too much because Boston is going. Points. I mean, they're just going. They're fully healthy, other than Luke Cornett. their starting lineup is just, one of the best 5 net rated teams in the NBA, and they have them all healthy. So it's going to be hard for them to.
Yeah, we'll hit on the guards here, but I definitely don't disagree with you there, given the matchup that they're going to have. And Stacks in the chat. What's up, Stacks? Happy to have you with us here today. So let's just get to it. We'll go position by position here for the 4 games on the live show. Point guard position here. Donovan Mitchell, $9,900, your top price point guard. Darius Garland, though, looking like he's going to play this back-to-back, at least for now. Brunson, 96. Halliburton, 94, but we know the limitations are going to be put on him minutes-wise. Maxey, questionable at $9,100. Garland, if he plays here, I mean, again, assuming he does that, Mitchell had no problem yesterday. 72 fantasy points. So now he gets Memphis here. Any worries at all about paying up for Donnie Mitch tonight?
No. Nope. He's been amazing in general. He had 12 assists in Mobley's return, 28, 12, and 4. 45, 8, and 6 in Darius Garland's return. Darius Garland's still going to be limited. Talked about how he was eating food through a straw. So I can't imagine his cardio is going to let him play anywhere really north of what he played yesterday. There's obviously still a chance he pops on the injury report with that game at 8 o'clock. But as of right now, it looks like he's going to play. No problem getting to Mitchell. The only problem with getting to Donovan Mitchell is that this is the worst game environment on the board. But obviously, there's not a lot of star power on this slate. He is the highest priced play left. So if you want to get to Donovan Mitchell as a little contrarian play, everyone's getting a Jalen Brunson. Everyone's going to play Tyrese Maxey if Tyrese Maxey's in. So if you want to pivot to someone like Donovan Mitchell, by all means do so.
Yeah, and with this obviously being a TNT Thursday, 7:30 start tonight, 10 p.m. though is your late night game, and that is the Maxey news we await, right? You'll have to sort of build in some pivots, and you certainly can do that. Utah has some guys that are relatively generally in that price range to make some moves if you needed to go there in that direction. Again, small slate, so the depth kind of jumps off. What are your thoughts on the Boston guards or the Lakers and how they match up against them tonight?
Well, for the record, I do like Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Maxey quite a bit.
100%.
So I wouldn't skip over them. I'm not playing Halliburton, as we alluded to on the show. I personally don't care much for the Boston guards. Not that I don't think they're good players. I'm like as big of a Derek White fan as anyone. And it's not to say that they're like bad fantasy producers, but again, we talk about this all the time. It's possible for them to go off. Sure. They're obviously the cheapest. Undoubtedly correct. Like everyone else is expensive. They're also just the worst fantasy producers when everyone's healthy, with everyone on the floor. And I looked at the starting 5 earlier today. Derek White and Drew Holiday have 14% usage rates apiece. 14. That is very low. That's not good. And Derek White, 0.88 fantasy points per minute. Drew Holiday, 0.91. Now, like the caveat to that is they're obviously not going to share the floor the whole game. Like all those guys are going to be staggered. We know Tatum's an early sub. We know Brown plays a lot of minutes. We know Porzingis is an early sub. Like they're going to be staggered. They're going to be playing without one or two of those other names. It's just when each half is closing, they're going to be the 4th and 5th options basically on the floor. So it's a good pace up spot. I'm like fine getting there, but I don't have like a desire to get there. I do like the Lakers guys if you think this game can stay competitive. Like that's complete 180 from the Derek White and Drew Holiday conversation because they have high usage rates and high fantasy point per minute outputs because there's no Anthony Davis, LeBron. Can that game stay competitive? That's what you have to ask yourself, right? That's the kicker there. Without LeBron and AD this year, and that's including Gabe Vincent as well, because Gabe Vincent was playing minutes when he was on the floor. Austin Reeves has a near 13% usage rate, which is the biggest on the team. Up to 33.4%, 1.37 fantasy points per minute. That's tied with D'Lo for 1.37 fantasy points per minute. So you can get to either guy if you think this game can stay competitive, because if it does, they're obviously the main reasons.
Sure. Where else are we looking when it comes to the point guard position tonight? Again, obviously there's some value here. that could be in play. There's only the 2 games on the slate. We haven't really hit too much on here. So what are your overall thoughts?
I don't have much else. I think Nembhard takes a big hit with Halliburton's minutes going up, and if Mathurin comes back. So if you want to play Nembhard at 55, it's whatever. If Tyrese Maxey is out, Patrick Beverley's been a fine fantasy producer. 28 minutes, probably gets up to mid-30s if these last 2 games were competitive, like we saw. If Concher is out, right back to the Scottie Pippen he's been a fantasy point per minute guy. But that's really it. I see ownership coming into Chris Dunn and to Keontae George.
Yeah.
They're both you can play Keontae George if you want, but if this game is competitive, is Keontae George going to play 13 minutes or is he going to play 31 minutes? And is Chris Dunn going to play 16 minutes or is he going to play he's played 17 minutes in 5 straight games? There's been 5 different results. Competitive, not competitive, 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 not competitive. He's played 17 minutes regardless. He's been good, but do you want to play a guy that's basically capped at 17 minutes? I don't really want to. And then there's the Peyton Pritchard thing. If you think the game blows out, Peyton Pritchard's going to play the whole 4th quarter and sprinkle in 11, 12 minutes between the first 3 quarters, right?
Yeah.
And then you get basically 12 of the 4th. But that's you playing the blowout narrative. And if you think that Boston comes and shows up tonight, then you're going to get Peyton Pritchard possibly mid-20s minutes at his lowest price in which he's played mid-20s minutes.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, you referenced that Pacers, the Sixers game rather. He did play 23 minutes in that one too, so kind of a interesting spot. Maybe they were leading early. They thought that he was good to go, and then they came back there. Shooting guard position. Appreciate you all popping in there, Albert, DePrince, and Faisal all in the chat here today. Happy to have you all with us. If you haven't already tossed a like down on the stream, do so today. If you have any questions, pop them in. We'll answer them for you as well. Shooting guard here. Jaylen Brown, $8,500. We talked Donnie Mitch over at point guard. Donte DiVincenzo, big price drop after that. Obviously, $6,800. Sexton, $66. You got Oubre in that range. Are you looking to spend up for any of the Boston guys today? I mean, if they're going to win by 15 and the game total is going to be 240, you got to think something of Tatum, Brown, Porzingis has a big night, right?
Yeah, one of those guys made the playbook over at FantasyAlarm.com. It was not Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. But yeah, and I don't care much for the Jaylen Brown price. I know he's been good, but great spot. Had a great game scoring the basketball the other day, but sometimes we see this happen to Jaylen Brown where he is very scoring dependent, especially when they're fully healthy, like tonight's team is, even Horford active off the bench. So not a lot of interest in Brown 85. You can definitely play him in a tournament, good pace-up spot. The field is once again going to gravitate to Donte DiVincenzo. There's just a lot of ways that he plays 40 minutes again. If OG's in and then Quentin Grimes is out, DiVincenzo is going to play 40 minutes. Even if both are in, the way he shot the ball, there's just no possible scenario you cannot play him again. And if you remember, the time after the OG trade was the game against the last time the Knicks played against Indiana. He had 38 actual points. So there's already a sample for Donte DiVincenzo against this team where they could not guard him. And when you look at Indiana, they don't guard anybody.
Right.
Aaron Nesmith. You think Aaron Nesmith's going to be guarding DiVincenzo tonight? No, he's going to be guarding Jalen Brunson. So it's whatever matchup DiVincenzo has, he's going to have a lot of space, a lot of room to operate. So I think great spot again. I love the Sexton bounce back. You just need to get this guy upper 20s minutes for him to smash. I mean, 28 minutes, 36 fantasy points. I want the 35 to 40 minutes we saw a couple times when Utah was really rolling, but you don't necessarily need that for him to get there. And when you do get that, that's the luxury. Obviously they get to play at home. He's been really good at home.
Been a lot better at home. Yeah. Almost 40% 3-point shooter versus 36% on the road. So,
and we know how Utah's been at home all year. We've touted them heavily in their home arena. they've been super good, like year in, year out. It's the elevation, it's the travel, it's everything you have to do going to Utah. And Colin Sexton's second on this team in fantasy points per minute this year, 1.2. So that would be DiVincenzo and Sexton is really where I'm living in this. And obviously we talked about Mitchell at point guard for anyone to say.
Yep, 100% in agreement with you on that one. Obviously, if everybody's ruled out again, you do have Kelly Oubre with the dual positional eligibility. The minutes are just going to be there for him, so there's going to be some consideration for him. We talked some of the Lakers and Boston guys already. How do you approach Memphis here tonight?
TBD. Fully TBD. It's hard. It's hard to like really just like be able to talk about it because we know Kennard's basically out. We know Aldama late add to the injury report is not good. Left tailbone soreness is what they're calling it.
Right.
Like he started and played 34 minutes. He started the last 3 games. So what does that do to their starting lineup? Obviously Vince Williams would be the easiest solution because Vince Williams missed last game and you just swap those two if he misses because Tillman started last game. But like Roddy's too expensive at 51. The minutes for him don't even justify the price. Maybe I'm off there, but 5,100 is like he doesn't really shoot a lot for a 5,100 price tag. We don't know if Concher's playing. That obviously dictates your guard room because Concher's been starting at point guard. So if he's in, Scottie Pippen goes to the bench. You can't really play Scottie Pippen off the bench at $4,700.
Right.
Like that's hard. So like the only certain would be Vince Williams for me
Triple J.
and Triple J. We know Triple J is going to take 1 billion shots. It's just if he can stay at a foul triple, especially with the way Jared Allen attacks the glass and how aggressive Jaren Jackson can be. And then Vince Williams going to guard Donovan Mitchell for as long as this game is competitive and or he stays at a foul trouble for. So
Right.
I would say as it currently stands, those are like the only 2 certainties that we honestly have. And it's not like any of them are as cheap as they were the other day. That's also the problem. They're also not like cheap anymore.
Agreed. Can we do anything with the Cleveland guys down here? I mean, obviously Garland's back, but Strus, LeVert, any interest at all?
I would say, in tournaments, they're fine. Like Strus 1 for 6. He played 30, almost 32 minutes yesterday. 1 for 6 shooting is not great. The peripheral stats not great, but now there's no Evan Mobley. Maybe Strus, but it's not like a really appeal. Like this is just not a very appealing game outside of like a few. I'm Donovan Mitchell. I can do whatever against anybody, or like I'm Jared Allen. I can grab 40 rebounds tonight. That's like where I kind of stand on this game in general. So if you land on Strus or LeVert, I would say my opinion might change if Darius Garland is ultimately ruled out, which as of right now, that's not the case. And you could also play a 5,700 Jordan Clarkson, who probably has a significantly higher minute ceiling and scoring ceiling than both of Strus and LeVert, just like with how Cleveland's rotation shaked out lately.
I was about to bring up that I hadn't gotten the let him know tweet yet. It came through 2 minutes ago. Okay. So, a little late for the let him know, but he let him know it is an 8:00 start time for Donnie. So, the extra, scheduled tweet a little bit later on in the day. Pacers guards. What's the rotation for you here?
I mean, again, not going to really touch Haliburton unless we were to find out like 30 minutes. But even then, it's like obviously massive pace down spot. That would be
hilarious if he played 30 when he's like, I'm going to be limited for a while.
Right. Well, I guess it depends on what he views as limited, right? Because he's been playing 35, 40 in like that right before the injury. Nembhard is I think he takes a hit if Mathurin comes back. Hield definitely takes a hit if Mathurin comes back. I mean, 36 minutes in a game with no Mathurin, McConnell. I don't know if that happens again, but you can play Buddy. 52 is a good price. I don't have a strong opinion on any of them. We know Mathurin, like 48 is a good price, but he has the most unreliable minutes of anyone on the Pacers, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agreed.
It's hard.
If people are out, do you go to the Springer Korkmaz House Sixers rotation here?
I don't hate it. So the guys we know are out are Embiid, Melton,
Yep.
Robert Covington. Marcus Morris is doubtful, so that will free up some obvious front court minutes. I think that definitely solidifies Paul Reed the best because we've seen them go small ball center with Marcus Morris at times. Batum being questionable, Maxey being questionable, obviously the two biggest ones because Maxey plays 40 minutes a night, so that would open up a ton for Jaden Springer and Korkmaz. And the Batum minutes would open up for like Daniel House, probably some Korkmaz as well. So I would prefer the not Daniel House play, like Korkmaz or Springer of the three.
Sure.
I think Springer is the best of the best actual basketball player. Korkmaz has the best ability to make shots. So, I would lean those two over House if everyone's rolled out.
Sure. Small forward position where it does get interesting here. Obviously, Tatum is $9,800. Doesn't have to deal with LeBron. Doesn't have to deal with Anthony Davis now. He'll probably have a pretty good dose of Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt. That kind of men being thrown at him. Lauri Markkanen is 86. Siakam 84. Toby at 7K. Your top half group here.
Yeah, I mean, if you end up on Tatum, who's going to fall to for ending up in a pace-up spot against the depleted Lakers team, that game stays competitive. Jason Tatum could definitely have a solid game. If it doesn't, maybe he's the reason, but it's obviously harder to justify getting to a $9,800 play. That definitely works best in tournaments. I think Lauri is a very fine play. I think Lauri's ownership is completely contingent on Tyrese Maxey because he is if you're playing Tyrese Maxey in that late window, he is basically the only one you could pivot to not axe the salary. You have all thousands of dollars left over. I like him regardless. Philly's defense is definitely not the same without Joel Embiid. So I like Markkanen in tournaments. Siakam, I'm indifferent about. I don't dislike him, but the spot is obviously not the best. And Tobias Harris is a really good play. Coming off a monster 26-point double-double, 38 minutes in that game. The illness clearly behind him. And he's about a 1.13 fantasy point per minute, 25.5 usage rate guy without Embiid and D'Anthony Melton. So I'm definitely interested in some Toby at 7K.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, obviously some strong plays in that range. We talked about Vince Williams already, $6,400, just a guy that we've plugged and played a lot of. If OG is in at $6,600, would you rather play him over Vince Williams tonight?
Probably because of the spot. I think he's in just an infinitely better matchup.
Okay. Under him, I mean, Josh Hart, 63, can't argue with the rebounds that we've been getting out of him. You mentioned Nesmith. Small forward only now for Aaron Nesmith. Breaking slates the other day, 26, 12, and 7. Gets the Knicks here in that matchup. Gigi Jackson's at 49, someone that you've liked and he played a little bit of. Fontecchio down here at $4,200. And then the Lakers guys, Hachimura's 4K. Prince is 38. No Evan Mobley. Georges Niang probably gets a little bit of a bump. And you mentioned on the show this morning, you think Isaac Okoro is locked in for 30-plus minutes tonight.
Yeah, so the Knicks guys are a little bit interesting. Josh Hart is definitely, he's with OG on the floor, 0.89 fantasy point per minute guy. With OG off the floor, 1 fantasy point per minute guy. So there's a pretty big discrepancy there for Josh Hart. I would prefer to pay for a $6,300 Hart with OG off the floor. You also I think we have to factor in, he is a very good rebounder. I'm not going to say this to take it away from him, but as Isaiah Hartenstein's minutes continue to go up, the rebound opportunities they evaporate because Hartenstein is
Hartenstein minus 145 for the over 9.5 boards tonight. So
yeah, he's a vacuum. So I'm a little skeptical. Not that they can't continue, but if OG's in, Hartenstein there's like no cap because there was a cap at 25 last game and he played 29. So like
Right.
if all that happens, 6,300 is definitely a tougher pill to swallow, especially if Josh Hart's not going to make shots. I mean, he cannot make threes. He's like 2 for his last, I don't know. I mean, he's even said it like I need to make shots, and he's shooting 14% from 3 over his last 5 games. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's only 30% on the year there, so not good looks. I 40 films. We don't mind Peyton Pritchard tonight if you think the blowout's happening.
Yep.
Again, probably plays 15 minutes anyways, and if it's a blowout, maybe he gets 25. So if you want to punt Pritchard tonight against the Lakers, we're cool there. Then I see through you, Justin, my guy. Happy to have you in the chat here today. Those of you who are tuning in, if you haven't already hit that like button, please do so. Helps us out a ton. Takes just a moment of your time to do so. Obviously, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. James and I are more than happy to answer those for you. If you play on FanDuel, don't be shy. Certainly can ask those questions there as well, and we'll help out some FanDuel friends also. Where else are we looking at small forward? Anybody else on your radar here tonight?
Yeah, Neesmith is, you mentioned, he has benefited from playing with Pascal Siakam, 0.97 fantasy points per minute. So essentially at 1 fantasy point per minute. The minutes have been fantastic for him lately, 41, 37, 34, 29, 34. And that was a problem with Indiana in general. We just couldn't rely on any minutes. But Neesmith's playing all the minutes he can handle. He will do so again tonight with Jalen Brunson, the Jalen Brunson assignment. So I like Neesmith 54, just given he's going to play all the minutes he can handle. Fontecchio is fine at 42. Utah's rotation down here is very hard to predict. 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy. So if you want to get there, that's fine. He's obviously a pivot off of someone like Rui, who's $4,000, has started for LeBron in the past, probably starts for LeBron tonight. 25 and 26 fantasy points in back-to-back games for Rui. Fairly decent fantasy producer without LeBron and AD this year, about 0.8 fantasy points per minute, 21% usage rate. Like, those are fine. Those aren't like, wow, those are amazing numbers. Christian Wood would probably be like the one of the 3 guys that pops in both in that category. He's not here at small forward, obviously, but right. Taurean Prince is just someone I'm if he beats me, he beats me. I've said that
opening night.
First slate, and he did beat me that night. He was like 3,500, made all the shots. Like, it is what it is. I've said that from day one, that he just is a low usage guy, does not benefit from LeBron and AD in terms of usage rate. Like, he's a guy who needs to be set up. And I'm not saying Reeves and D'Lo can't do that. But like, when LeBron and AD are not on the floor, there's a lot more attention on, you can definitely space your defense a little bit differently than when LeBron and AD are there. So if Taurean Prince beats me, salute to whoever decides to play a low usage guy that made all of his shots. And
when LeBron and AD got ruled out, I went and took a quick look to see what Taurean Prince's odds were for first 3-pointer made of the game, and it was plus 1,000. I was like, it feels like it'd be a night. It'd just be a night that Taurean Prince would just stand in the corner and maybe get the first kick. But then I thought about it more, and I don't think the Lakers win the tip. So if they end up losing the tip and Derek White hits that 3, we'd be done. So yeah, guys, we're gonna move our way over to center. Coach Chris asking about Wood or Hayes here, and Nicholas asking about Obama here. So we'll hit on center just in a minute. Let's move on over to power forward, though. A lot of outs, a lot of guys we've talked about already. Triple J is here, though, at $8,300. We've talked about it. When the man really has a team by himself, we get 30, 20 plus shot attempts. He's going to play till he fouls out if he fouls out. So that's just the way it's going to be for him tonight. Price tag, honestly, isn't that bad. Are you worried about the Jared Allen matchup for him if he's forced to play the 5? Like, what's your thoughts here on Triple J tonight?
I'm just worried about Triple J being Triple J, man.
Sure.
That's, like, just doing what he does. I mean, I think this is a very tough spot in general. Really slow Cleveland team, number 1 rated defense in the month of January, and he's foul happy going up against Donovan Mitchell, who is constantly attacking the rim, and Jared Allen, who is constantly on the glass, right? Like, Jared Allen has 17 straight games with 11 or more rebounds.
He does.
It's like, dude, is Jaren Jackson, who's like he's like today's era, like Brook Lopez in terms of rebounding. Like when you're like Brook Lopez is scoring 20 a game, worst rebounding center. Like that's Jaren Jackson. Like
Remember he was a double guy in Brooklyn back in the day.
And then he and then he can't rebound. He's recently rebounded. Like Jaren Jackson just hasn't figured it out on the glass. So like, yeah, he might get out there. He's gonna play 30 minutes. He's been able to do that in a bunch of games consecutively. He's going to take a boatload of shots. If they fall, there is 50 plus, right? That is apparent. But like with Jaren Jackson, we're not banking on double-double. If Jaren Jackson makes all the shots, you also want the big block game, right? Because that's where the ceiling's going to come from. When Jaren Jackson scores and gets you the 4 or 5 blocks that he's done in the past.
You know what? His blocks number this year, not as good as they were last year.
No, different scorekeeper.
New scorekeeper. I'll also say, and this was brought up the other day, we talk a lot about Jaren Jackson fouling out. He actually hasn't fouled out of the game yet this year, but a whole lot of 5 foul games. And that's obviously always top of mind there when it comes to Triple J. You mentioned a Celtic didn't make your playbook today. That man is Kristaps Porzingis. Zinger here is going to have a matchup of Jackson Hayes and or Christian Wood and or Jared Vanderbilt tonight. Good luck to all 3 of them. Zinger's a dominant post player when he wants to be. Obviously, he can stretch the floor as well. Lock and loading Kristaps Porzingis tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it is Kristaps Porzingis and the Celtics in general are if you think the Lakers can stay close plays, right? Because you're not playing Tatum at 98 if you think that game blows out. You're not playing Brown at 85. Zinger is like a comfortable price where you like, oh, he can get me 50 in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
When their starting 5, John, has shared the floor this year, Kristaps Porzingis leads them in fantasy points per minute, more than Jason Tatum, more than Jaylen Brown at 1.22. He also has a 24% usage rate, which is right behind Tatum, right behind Brown. So Brown's actually the leader in the usage rate department with everyone on the floor.
Yeah.
Tatum second, Porzingis third, but Porzingis is the one scoring the most fantasy points per minute. And you mentioned the Jackson Hayes Christian Wood pairing. Jackson Hayes fouls very, very often. He is going to have a lot of trouble with Kristaps Porzingis. And then Christian Wood just doesn't play defense. Christian Wood is playing defense on his coach by tweeting LOL that he's not starting. That's the only defense he's been playing.
He's got the Olay defense, he just steps aside and Olay,
He does. He sure does. So I look at the Porzingis matchup, and anytime he's really got anytime he's been extended, there's been 50 fantasy point upside. So I'm not necessarily like all in on anything Boston because I'm still waffling kind of with I put D'Lo and a picture of Reeves on the cover of today's playbook, but that's all. I'm not ignoring 1.4 fantasy points per minute for each of those guys and teams to themselves. They might just go out there and take 30 shots and say, oh, we tried, move on. But if they do make shots and the game stays close, there's going to be a lot of good fantasy goodness for Boston considering the pace, considering everything on that front. So Porzingis is my guy here on Boston.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys per dollar today is John Collins here.
Yes.
Knowing that there's no Joel Embiid, the reboundings have been legit lately. He's even giving you some 20 plus actual scoring games here. When they plays the minutes to be competitive, when they're in competitive games, he's been very productive. Took the over 8.5 rebounds on him today as well for a prop. $5,900. They're not moving. This isn't too cheap for him, and he's going to be up against Paul Reed and in a smaller front court for Philly. Not having to deal with Joel Embiid is a huge bonus for the opposing front courts here. So I'm big on John Collins tonight.
Yeah, we kind of had a sneak peek. I know Embiid was hobbled and he just couldn't jump, but he literally fell when he tried to jump last game. But Collins has been
Draymond dove on top of him, and
then not Draymond, Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah.
Collins is super solid. 27 minutes per game over his last 5, 36 fantasy points over that span. We've talked about Paul Reed a bunch. When he has to guard guys that go to the perimeter, it is kind of a tough thing for him to do. And Collins is a guy who stretches the floor over a fantasy point per minute now on the year. They just need to keep games competitive, and John Collins plays 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Anytime the game's been competitive, he's either approached or surpassed 30 minutes. He has like very clearly usurped Walker Kessler in this rotation. And Walker Kessler has not done anything really to like get his job back, right? Like so while that is happening and Collins is still on this team, because we don't know if he is on this team this time next week, then he is going to continue to be extended. So I like John Collins quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, just the production he's had. And you mentioned the minutes, like the last 5. And honestly, because they've been in some of these weird games where they lose by 30, he plays 24 minutes. He lose by 30, plays 21 minutes, 33, 32, 28 around those. Like he's probably closer to playing 29 minutes a game and not the 27. So I'm with you here. Also, they're back home, where they played a lot better on the year. He himself, 3 more fantasy points per game. 0.3 rebounds more per game overall, a better shooter. So, definitely in on some John Collins here tonight. Our guy, Critch, wants to know if you had to pick one, Reed or Collins here tonight, how would you go about it?
I like both.
You can play both.
You can play both. So Reed with Justin Embiid off the floor, 1.05 fantasy points per minute. With Embiid and Maxey off the floor, 1.13 fantasy points per minute. I think it definitely doesn't hurt Paul Reed that Marcus Morris is questionable or doubtful. Like that's going to keep him on the floor, and it's just going to be him and Bamba straight splitting 48 minutes. I'll go Collins unless we find out that Tyrese Maxey is out. Then I'd lean Paul Reed because there's just more dependence on Paul Reed.
Sure. Brendan, guess Pritchard's going to be a popular play here tonight, James. We're fine going Peyton Pritchard if you're going to play the blowout theory. He's going to get his usual run anyways, where maybe he gets 10, 11 minutes to the first 3 quarters, and then if this game's over, he's going to play the entire fourth. He's going to play 12 minutes. So there's a good chance that he gets 20 to 25 minutes as a floor tonight if this game really does get out of hand. Again, it's a 15-point spread for Boston here tonight, so and we know Fast PP likes to shine when he gets the opportunity to do so. Where else are we looking when it comes to value power forwards? A lot of these guys we have touched upon already. There is Vanderbilt down here at 46. Kelly O's getting ownership love tonight, $3,900. Anybody for you?
Yeah, speaking of that, we'll be updating momentarily on FantasyAlarm.com, so we'll have the updated ownership there as well. I actually wrote up Kelly O in the playbook today. I understand why people would get to him, especially with the minutes kind of beginning to like get back to the low 20 mark or right around it. That's all he needs, dude. At 3,900, Kelly O is a spitball of fantasy production. 21, 18, 16, 21 minutes. 28 and 29 fantasy points were the ceiling in that span. It's not like surefire. There's a high ceiling, low floor type situation with Kelly O. But
what we love about Kelly O is that he can literally give you fantasy points in any different way. You're not like he needs the rebound or he needs the score or I hope he gets 3 blocks today. He can do all of it. He can do none of it. There's a whole bunch of different ways he can go about getting you the fantasy points that you need here tonight.
Yeah, 1.1 fantasy points per minute this year for Kelly O. And obviously, he started a couple games earlier in the year and was extended, but there's a lot of outcomes. Kelly O could get extended tonight. He comes in, hits a bunch of shots. We know Will Hardy, head coach, has spoke about just playing guys by feel. If he's feeling Kelly O and he comes in and hits 3 threes, well, guess what? Kelly O is going to play into the 20s possibly tonight. And at 3,900, we know the ceiling. So I do have interest in Kelly Olynyk tonight.
I think it was the Washington game, wasn't it? Where Fontecchi and all them, was that the game they were limited in?
They were just not. They just did not come back in the game.
Yeah, they just didn't come back in the game. Kelly O and Keontae George and Jordan Clarkson got the extra run, and he hit because he hit 8 of 11. And he's like, well, I'm not going to take him off the floor. Don't need to. So. Definitely capable there. If I'm picking one tonight, Kelly O or Pritchard, Brendan wants to know.
I'm going to say Kelly Olynyk. I like that. I don't want to go on record and saying I think the Lakers are going to keep this game competitive, but there's a weird feeling I have. And again, maybe it's because this happened already.
Yeah.
With Boston specifically against Philly, where again, Philly had no business staying in that game. No Maxey, no Embiid. I think Tobias Harris was ruled out of that game too, if I'm not mistaken. And they just stayed competitive in that game. And like with how D'Angelo Russell has played outside of last game, Austin Reeves has started to look like last year's version of Austin Reeves more lately. It's just one of those like foot off the gas pedal things for Boston. Look ahead.
Yeah, that game, the Celtics you're talking about, they didn't have Porzingis in that one, did Boston? But Robert Covington had 18 points, Melton had 21, Beverly had 26. So
okay, but how would you assess like
I agree. Yeah.
Beverly and Covington versus like Reeves and D'Lo, right?
No,
like those two
agreed.
could definitely be like more potent. Again, I am not sitting here saying there is an outcome where Boston scores 100 first half points, and you're like, oh well, we saw that coming. There's also a scenario where Boston's like, oh well, how about next game? Who do we play next game since LeBron and AD aren't playing tonight? Yeah.
Jimmy wants to know if not Vandy, who he's not feeling him. I mean, listen, I like Jared Vanderbilt. I wish he got more than the 26 minutes. He's a guy that can rebound. He's a guy that can get you defensive stats. Yes, he's not a great offensive scorer. He did go 6 of 6 against Atlanta. Are you talking about this specific price point? You're looking at the forward or center position. Like, what's the pivot that you're looking for? If we're looking at just a pivot at $4,600 tonight, I mean, we've talked, there's Gigi Jackson here at 49 if guys are ruled out. I mean, there's not a ton of other value. We do like Fontecchio at $4,200. Hachimura is cheaper. Prince is cheaper. We've talked to Kuro a little bit here tonight. I think Georges Niang could be in for additional minutes boost without Evan Mobley here. So, there's definitely quite a few pivots you can make off the $4,600. Steven in the chat saying full Lakers run it back with Tatum. I mean, that's a game stack to play 100%. So I think it's definitely something that can be done here tonight. Guys, again, we appreciate you all in the chat. Feel free to throw some questions our way if you haven't already done so. Toss a like out there on the button. Helps us out a lot. Obviously, with YouTube, Quentin Grimes officially ruled out tonight for the New York Knicks. So we are getting some news there. Hopefully, we'll get the OG Anunoby news shortly, and then maybe a starting lineup shortly thereafter. So be on the lookout there with Quentin Grimes now out of that rotation. You felt him being out, regardless of the OG status, would kind of lock him into some minutes. We were on power forward. We were kind of just scrolling through and seeing which guys we could play and not play. Precious Achiuwa is $5,800. He's played 40 and 33 minutes the last 2 games here. No Grimes now. If OG gets ruled out again, I mean, where do you stand on Precious tonight against the Pacers?
If OG's out, Precious is going to play until Precious can't play. We've seen Thibodeau obviously develop a trust in Precious playing 30 minutes in 3 straight games. I do think there's one of 2 things that happen with Grimes. We could see Evan Fournier enter the rotation. I'm not saying for like significant minutes, but I do think there is a chance we see Evan Fournier tonight, or they actually say, you know what, let's give Deuce McBride a few extra minutes and he'll play alongside Brunson some tonight. I think those are the 2 scenarios if OG's ruled out. Now, we'll wait to see if OG's ruled out. We don't know if that's we even need to talk about it, but Grimes has played 20 and 32 minutes the last 2 games. Like, there's some minutes to be had. So I do think Fournier could he's on off the injury report after leaving for a personal matter. So
I will say that this isn't like doesn't seem like this is an official report, because I was looking to see if the OG news is come right after it. Knicks writer and NBA columnist for Newsday Sports tweeted, I'm hearing Quentin Grimes will be out tonight after suffering a knee injury on Tuesday, but it's not like from the mouth of the team. So, maybe we'll wait and see. I'm sure this leaked info isn't incorrect, but It's not like an official team update. It's not Thibodeau reporting it. It's just Underdog, out here basically reporting, what this Newsday writer is saying. So we'll see. We'll get an official update. We're 2 hours away in that game from needing an official team status. So keep your ear to the ground, guys out there. Steven thinks OG's in. Yeah, we'll see.
There was a Josh Hart post-game interview the other day after his triple-double, and it's Josh Hart, I don't know if he leaked it, but it sounded like he said OG was going to play. He's like, oh, we're getting OG back next game or something along those lines. So
sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if OG plays, but, we'll see. We'll see. If OG doesn't play, we're getting Evan Fournier minutes tonight, John. That's like
no Grimes. Do you think they just give McBride a bunch of minutes instead?
I don't know if they.
How much do they hate Evan Fournier right now?
Who do they hate more, McBride, that they won't play him next to Jalen Brunson, or Fournier that they won't play? I feel like
they won't play at all.
Yeah. I think it's close. They have to play McBride because they traded their one, they don't think that highly of Malachi Flynn, obviously, but two,
true.
They also traded their previous backup point guard, and they're now openly shopping for another backup point guard right now. So I don't know if McBride is in a much better spot than Fournier.
Coach Chris wants to know, better play tonight, Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell price-wise?
Tatum's in a better spot. I like Mitchell a little bit more.
Yeah. It's so tough because this game obviously has a higher game total, Boston, LA. Well, you're looking at Cleveland, Memphis at a 218 total. But obviously, again, the 15-point spread, you get 3/4 out of Tatum, unless James is saying, somebody pops out. Listen, D'Angelo Russell is definitely live to go take 15 threes tonight. Probably, like to bet the over-under 3-point attempts, I think, on him this evening. Whether or not he hits them against a tough Boston perimeter defense, I guess we'll wait and find out. Let's move on over to center here, where everybody's ruled out. Top guys all are. We talked Jackson already. Jared Allen, again, with no Evan Mobley, dude. I'm all in on some Jared Allen tonight. The rebounding's legit. I bet his over rebound prop already here today. I might even ladder this. I don't. We talk all the time. Memphis is not a good rebounding team. They play a lot of guys that are on the perimeter. The one guy they stick in the paint is 6'6". So. David Roddy's getting 10 rebounds because nobody else is rebounding. I don't think they're going to stand a chance preventing Jared Allen from getting 12, 13 rebounds tonight if this game, if he plays the minutes. So 8K Jared Allen, I know there are some cheaper options that we do like as well, but, you want to be a little different tonight. I think Allen's in a really good spot.
First off, salute to everyone for joining the show. We appreciate you guys. We do this every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, Jared Allen is live to, I wouldn't say replicate the Sabonis line from the other day where he had 25 rebounds, but I'm not also going to say that this couldn't be a ceiling Jared Allen rebound game. He's had 23 rebounds in a game during the 17 game, 11 plus rebound streak that he's on. And Memphis is bottom 5 in terms of rebound percentage this year in the league. Their power forward doesn't rebound in Jaren Jackson. Their center is 6'6", as you mentioned. David Roddy is playing backup 3 through 5. He is 6'4". He is just also the widest player on their team. So there's undoubtedly a massive ceiling for Jared Allen. Evan Mobley being out is obviously a tremendous thing for Jared Allen. So there's nothing not to like. Memphis is a shorthanded team that's going to miss a lot of shots. Look at what Jaren Jackson Jr.'s done lately. You can just see it. A lot of shots are being missed on that front. So
you've been crying that Vince Williams is going to eventually start missing shots. So
he is definitely going to start missing shots.
Is it tonight the night?
Tonight number 1 defense in the NBA in the month of January. This feels like the night. Vince Williams, salute to you, Lunch Pail Vince. We love you, but this is the night that he's probably gonna struggle making some shots. So, Jared Allen, very live for a ceiling game tonight.
Yep, agreed with you. Other guy live. They have a ceiling game here tonight. Isaiah Hartenstein. Yes. Again, they told us he was going to be limited. It says it right here. Will be capped at 25 minutes. That reads 29. So he was not capped at 25 minutes. In fact, he played almost 30 in that matchup against Utah, had the double-double, 14 and 12. Another guy that I took the over rebounds tonight at 9.5. $6,500 is too cheap for a guy that was over 7K for a little bit. Now there's no Julius Randle, which means more shot attempts. My biggest complaint from him this whole time was that he wasn't shooting. But if they don't have anybody there and no Randle to take 20 shots, Hartenstein's going to be down in the post. He's going to get some offensive rebounds. Definitely like Isaiah Hartenstein tonight. I guess my question on this to you is, like, Miles Turner does stretch the floor out a little bit. So, not that they would remove Hartenstein from the lineup, but does that match up at all worry you at all?
No, because so does John Collins, right? Like, John Collins is a floor spacer. He's been taking somewhere between 3 to 5 threes a game, and he still had 12 rebounds. He's also super active on the offensive glass as well. So, like, Hartenstein is very live for 35 minutes, and he's very live for another one. He had in the Memphis game, 20 rebounds. I'm not sitting here saying another back-to-back centers. I'm not going to call 20 rebounds, but they're both live if they get the minutes. Miles Turner and John also, like, the minutes kind of sketchy lately, right? Like, is Miles Turner even going to be on the floor enough to worry about spacing?
Right.
He's 26 minutes. He only played 18 minutes in a 2-point win against Phoenix. Like, they just went small and used Siakam and Jalen Smith for big minutes, and both them had big games. Like,
yeah.
Turner's minutes fluctuate. It's not something that I'm necessarily worried about. And you factor in they're just shorthanded. Like, they just don't have other options, especially when now Grimes is out. Thibodeau already plays a small dude. I just mentioned that Evan Fournier might get rotation minutes. You think that Hartenstein's coming off the floor for anything tonight? There's no chance. There's no chance. So I'm not necessarily worried about anything Isaiah Hartenstein. I think he is as safe as is going to get at 65.
We've been getting a lot of Reed questions, obviously, earlier in the show. Coach wanted to know Reed versus Collins. We had a Mo Bamba question earlier. Obviously, again, talking Philly front court here. Where are you tonight? You mentioned a little bit earlier the fantasy point per minute for Paul Reed without Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey's around 1.1. What's it, 1.13? You said, I think it was that range.
No, Tobias, he's at 1.0. Actually, I think you're right. 1.05 without Embiid.
Yeah.
And then 1.13.
Okay.
Without Maxey and Embiid.
So, I mean, we've seen obviously some big numbers for Reed when he gets the run. I mean, 42 minutes here, 54 fantasy points. He had a 30 and 13 double-double against Denver in that game where Nikola Jokic did play. Sure. So, it doesn't really matter who the other opponent is here. If Paul Reed's going to get the run, then he's going to be, an impactful center. We've seen it time and time again. Chicago, 28 minutes here, give you 34 fantasy points. Even in spots where he's played fewer minutes, 19 and 29. So he can be a really good fantasy point per minute play here. So 6K, Paul Reed, Utah. John Collins is not a great defender. We talked about that all the way going back to his his Atlanta days, rather. So if Reed's just plugged in for 30 minutes tonight at 6K, this is kind of a loaded position here.
Yeah, that just seems to be what is going to happen. He's going to, I think. So we're going to get a 48-minute split, right? There's going to be no Marcus Morris here. And I agree, Mr. Polo Cash, a.k.a. One of our favorite Discord members who our boy Hidden Darts there. Shout out to you, Hidden Darts, for always supporting everything we do.
Yep.
I think this is a straight 48-minute split with no Marcus Morris. I think Mo Bamba hovers somewhere between, depending on how Paul Reed's going, anywhere from 16.
Ooh, who is OG out tonight?
Holy cow! Evan Fournier to the moon, John.
OG Anunoby ruled out. All right, so we're going to get Precious Achua starting again. Josh Hart rebounds are potentially still in play here. And as you mentioned, someone's got to be playing wing for the Knicks here tonight in the backup here. So
here's your Knicks rotation tonight. Your starting five is the same it's been, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, Achua, Hartenstein. That's your five. McBride is your backup point guard. That's for sure. Jericho Sims is your backup big. He's been playing their backup run to begin with. 24 and 19 minutes the last 2 games for Jericho Sims. So he's your backup. Salute to you, Toronto Dave.
Bringing in the alarm for some breaking news here,
And not even the Raptors in the slate.
Well, it is. It's OG Anunoby.
So, true. I guess, yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We can't even go on slate without Toronto Dave bringing in some Raptors to the equation here. Look, it all boils down to, does Thibodeau go to Miles McBride for extended run, who I'm skeptical, because he got
the run only when Brunson was out. Like, that was it.
Yes. So look, the Indiana game, right? Indiana game was when they traded everybody. They were without everybody. He played 18 minutes in that game. But so did Evan Fournier, John. Evan Fournier played 18 minutes in that game. I really think that this old bald man is getting dusted off tonight for some run.
I think it's wild that Thibodeau just does not want to play, because he was like a 40% 3-point shooter 2 years ago.
They paid him a lot of money.
And then like he didn't play defense, and Thibodeau was like, if you don't play defense, you don't play. And that's just it. You think we got a legacy Evan Fournier game here tonight? Like,
I'm not going. I will not stake my livelihood to Evan Fournier ever in the year 2024. But I will.
Alarm sound here, Em. I agree.
We do. But I will not play. I don't doubt Evan Fournier getting run off the bench for the Knicks.
Brandon, I'm with you, man. I don't think you have to obviously go deep into the Knicks wing rotation here. We're just talking some value. Obviously now Siakam is really great spot, because what's his on-ball defender now? It's not OG Anunoby. It's going to be Josh Hart. Gives up a lot of size to him. Or Precious Achiuwa, who's a good defender.
Yes, good defender.
I don't think he's got the quick. Not that Siakam's like a quick forward, but like I don't know if he can handle, on the wing. I don't think he can handle Siakam out there. So
Siakam is also the number one scorer in transition. Like, is Precious just going to be running with Siakam every time Indiana's out in transition? Like, it's going to be tough sledding. I don't disagree on the Siakam front. We were just hypothesizing what the Knicks rotation is going to look like. Regardless, their starters are playing 40 minutes. And then it's McBride, Sims, and probably Fournier. That's probably their 8 comfortable man. Like, that's their 8 rotation.
It honestly makes sense why Toronto Dave's all in on this Pacers Knicks. It's got Siakam, it's got Achiuwa, it's got Flynn. It's got OG now watching. I mean, he's all about those ex Raptors there. So Max Christie or Evan Fournier here for Bruce.
Fournier for me, but it's also a great spot for Fournier.
Yeah, for
the Knicks. Let me ask you this, John. Max, what's your max Knicks, considering this is not only are the Knicks shorthanded, not only are they the second, not on a back-to-back, there's not any worry about that. Shorthanded Knicks team against a bottom 5 defense and a top 5 pace. Max what for the Knicks tonight?
I mean, dude, Brunson, man. Brunson is such a great spot. Brandon, don't apologize, my friend. Welcome to have you here. If you haven't already done so, man, hit the like button, subscribe. We're here live every day, 5 o'clock Eastern time, breaking down the NBA DFS slate for Fantasy Alarm. So happy to have you in here, my dude. Don't be shy. Throw your questions in the chat.
Preview show in the morning as well.
We do. We do a preview show in the morning. We're here live, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Listen, obviously Brunson's a go. DDV, we didn't care for the price initially when it was $6,800 because we thought maybe OG would come back in. Throw that out the window. The man's got a 50 fantasy point ceiling. Now he's got the Pacers pace up spot. What was it, 3rd overall in pace, 4th overall in pace, something like that in the league here this season. So 2. I said every number but the one that it was.
Now you did, and now you said the number one.
DDV obviously in a great spot. So you want to go Hartenstein at a really good price under 7K. You want to go DDV, really good price under 7K here, because don't forget, like, there is all that Lakers value. So like, if you wanted to spend up for the Knicks guys tonight, a Brunson, DDV, a Hartenstein, and then Josh Hart or Precious Achiuwa or something like that, you can then go play the value that's with the Lakers, and get some of that, either Vanderbilt at under 5K, Hachimura under 5K, those type of plays there, and spend up in a really great spot, and then take the value plays for the Lakers tonight and kind of get yourself right there. So, kind of wild as this news breaks here. Happy we got it now too. I mean, again, roster lock tonight at 7:30, so plenty of time to kind of build your lineups around. This is also a great call up. Do we get the Roby Toppin revenge game narrative here?
He's too soft to play in New York, though. That's what the narrative is.
Well, listen, I mean, where is it? There he is. Power forward, $4,100, like 22 minutes against Boston. The minutes obviously been up and down. He did get 33 against Phoenix and exploded. So, I don't know. It's certainly possible. We know the problem is that everybody's healthy, right? For their front court.
I think
almost healthy.
Smith and Ben Mathurin are questionable.
True.
So
he wouldn't play for Mathurin, but he would play Jalen Smith minutes.
But Mathurin's minutes always, like, when one Indiana, because they're so interchangeable. Like, we see Buddy Hield's minutes fluctuate and he'll play more at the 2 if Mathurin's out, which would help Nesmith at the 3, which would then help. I think it's a trickle down. I do think both those guys would help Toppin, because you could play Toppin 3 through 5. Like, you could play him at the 3 in a big lineup. You could play him at the 4, obviously, where he fits. Or if they go small with Siakam at the 5, like, you could play Obi next to him. So I do think both those guys being in or out do play a little bit of a role. I'm not like, I still don't think this is a great spot for Indiana. Like, I understand OG is their best wing defender.
Yeah.
The Knicks are also a really slow-paced team.
They've turned a corner, obviously, earlier this year, with the month of December. We had no problem targeting the Knicks. They were one of the worst defensive teams for the month, but they made that trade, and maybe their defensive problems stemmed with Quickly and Barrett, right? And now they've kind of shored up a little bit more of themselves here defensively. We were on center when we got that news, so we paused a little bit here. So if you want to just kind of finish it out, give me some of your thoughts on maybe the players we haven't, really discussed too much here. There is Xavier Tillman here at $5,300. Just got a Lakers starting lineup. Russell, Reeves, Prince, Vanderbilt, and Hayes starting here tonight. So
half happy. I'm half happy.
Half happy. No Wood. Wood is not starting, but we have Prince and Vanderbilt starting. Hachimura coming off the bench solidifies his role here. How are you feeling about Hayes? We didn't think too highly of him the other night. 24 minutes, though, against Atlanta. Gives you 5+ blocks and steals. 24 fantasy points for him there. $4,100.
Okay. I'm definitely not a fan. He's a 0.6 fantasy point per minute guy. I prefer Christian Wood regardless. He's $100 cheaper. They essentially played the same minutes. If this game is competitive, Christian Wood is a big reason as to why, because he can score the basketball where Jackson Hayes really cannot. I'm really not. Jackson Hayes was also 3K last slate, right? Like, that makes a big difference. The 5 blocks and steals was obviously kind of. I'm not saying he can't do it, because he's fine in that category. This is a scenario where he's going to get in early foul trouble, and Christian Wood's going to have to come in and play big minutes.
You'd think Zinger's just going to throw a shoulder into his chest,
Whether it's him, whether it's Tatum going to the basket, whether it's Brown going to the basket.
Yeah,
I mean, it's relentless for Boston's offense. So I still lean Christian Wood. 0.6 fantasy points per minute for Hayes, over a fantasy point per minute for Christian Wood this year without LeBron and AD on the floor. Like, I'm going to follow the data, whether Hayes is starting or not. And I did go to Christian Wood's Twitter. He has not sent out an LOL tweet thus far, but I am on standby for that. So I do lean Christian Wood. I love Vanderbilt starting. Just going to throw that out there. We've been talking about Jared Vanderbilt extensively a lot lately. I know the price is going up. but he is a very good fantasy point per minute guy as of late. 24 plus in the last 4 games that he's completed, including 3 straight over 30. So those would really be the only other names I'd mention. I don't have much of an opinion on anything else. Like, I guess if Santi were to not play, you could look at someone like Matt Hurt of the Memphis Grizzlies, who spaces the floor. You and I talked about it last time out. He was shooting
the Memphis guys are obviously. I mean, he played 23 minutes, 3 of 6, 2 of 3 from 3. We talked about his G League stats this year. He's a 50% 3-point shooter. So if everybody's out, Santi now out, like, is there like I guess they would start Tillman, obviously.
Yes.
Bennedict Mathurin officially out tonight for the Indiana Pacers. So getting some Pacers news here. Maybe we'll get the Jalen Smith news here shortly as well regarding that. Maybe it does become an Obi Toppin day if that ends up being the case here. But if Sandy's out, I know Vince Williams is in, so that's certainly gonna go do bring that about for the rotation there. But Hurt someone that could certainly fill in some front court depth for them.
Yeah, they are very hurt, John.
Oh God! And just like that, everybody's leaving the show. First dad joke of the day drops at the end of the day. Jalen Smith is available to play tonight, so maybe put the Obi Toppin news on a brief hold there, but we'll see. He'll be in the rotation. He's not going to be
in the rotation.
Completely out of it. Let's get a lineup built here, James, because unfortunately I do got to go on Sirius XM here in 15 minutes. Go chat with Bender about tonight's slate. So, got to start Knicks, right?
And the question I posed to you before, you never technically answered it. You just told me you liked a lot of Knicks. I would do max 4, maybe max 5. I would consider just using the Knicks starting 5 and moving on.
No,
we have 218 people in here, and you're clicking on Fournier's name. I know I talked him up a little bit. I think he's going to be in the rotation, but
is this what we're doing?
Yeah. Do you prefer Hart or Hartenstein?
Hartenstein, probably.
Okay. Do you also? What is your overall opinion on the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got Vanderbilt in there. I like what he can do, kind of not needing to score. He can kind of give them everything else. I do think we probably need some more value from them as well. So do you want their wings? Do you want their forwards? Do you want to throw in a guard? I mean, Reeves, I'm okay. I think I'd rather play Reeves than Russell. I don't know if you
would as well. Nope. Reeves is cheaper, and they're the same fantasy producers.
Okay. Yeah, Reeves here at the guard spot. DDV gets small forward? He does. All right, let's do that. So Reeves, DiVincenzo. That gives us 5,400 for a guard, forward, and a util here. This Lakers lineup makes you like Pritchard even more now. I mean, do you want to punt Pritchard? Throw like a Pritchard Porzingis at the guard forward?
No.
Okay.
No. I still think Philly, like someone like Tobias Harris, makes a lot of sense. Okay. Utah, I mean, against a shorthanded team.
I like John Collins. I don't know if we can make a way to fit him, but we do Collins here. And then that gives us a $3,400 guard. We don't have.
I mean, it's Evan.
Oh, Korkmaz.
It's Evan Fournier. Cork. The only way you're getting to Cork in this scenario is obviously if we knew the status of like Batum / Maxey, and we're just not going to know.
If you had to pick one of Harris or Collins, who do you go with?
Toby.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm not that I don't like John Collins, because I do like John Collins quite a bit.
So do we think Buddy Hield plays 36 minutes again? No Mathurin tonight?
He may. They also have McConnell. They could use Nembhard more at the 2. We could see 36 minutes from Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield has one of the widest range of outcomes when it comes to minutes in the league here, Johnny.
I hear you. I'm just trying to figure out where we go without completely getting gross with it. I'm okay going Pritchard, and gives you $5,700.
Sure. There's obviously like other guard value if a Contra was ruled out. Scottie Pippen's $4,700.
What do you think of Pritchard Neesmith to close up the lineup?
Yeah, just switch Toby and Neesmith and call it a day.
Toby and he's going to call it. Got to make sure you don't lock in your util with the early start guy. I understand. Just an example lineup for all of you. Again, roster lock tonight is at 7:30. Brunson, Reeves, DiVincenzo, Vanderbilt, Hartenstein, Pritchard, Neesmith. Brunson's our top spend up tonight. A little bit of a fair and balanced lineup. Guys, again, we're here live every day, 5 o'clock Eastern time. We do a pre-show as well. We post that usually around 10, 11 o'clock at night. Get guys ready for the next day's slate. So subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like the channel. Helps us out a lot. Good luck with your lineups here this evening. And hopefully we see you all tomorrow as well. We'll catch you later.